My fellow car enthusiasts, welcome back! I am Alex the Car Guy, and on this channel I review cool car gadgets and other accessories for your car, such like dash cams. So that's the kind of videos you like. Make sure you subscribe by hitting the button down below to see more videos like this. And on this video, I'm gonna show you how I prepare my Hardwire kit for installation by replacing these molded fuses with these fuse tabs. And there are two main reasons why I may have to replace the molded fuses on a Hardwire kit with a functional fuse tab. The number one reason is that the fuse size of the Hardwire kit may not match the fuse size of my vehicle. For example, if my vehicle uses these larger fuses, then there is no way that these molded on fuses are gonna fit correctly because they're of the incorrect size, which means I'm gonna have to remove them and attach a fuse tab of the correct size, which in this case it will be this guy right here. And the second reason why I might have to remove the molded fuses and install functional fuse tabs is that the fuse box in my vehicle may be fully occupied, and in order for me to install the Hardwire kit, I have to remove an existing fuse from my fuse box and then install the fuse from the Hardwire kit. However, this presents a problem because I have no place now to reinstall the original fuse that I removed, so I can have both the original fuse and the fuse for the Hardwire kit. And this is where a functional fuse tab comes in handy because it has two fuse spaces, one for the original fuse that was removed from the vehicle and one for the fuse that is going to the Hardwire kit. And there are two ways of installing fuse tabs onto a Hardwire kit. The very first way is using solder and a soldering iron to join those two wires together, and the second way, which we're gonna focus on this video, is using a crimping tool and a crimp splice like the one you see right here. And before I get started, I'd like to remind you that I have placed links in the description down below to the fuse tabs that you'll see on this video, as well as the tools that I use to install the fuse tabs onto this Hardwire kit. If the fuse tab that I'm using has a quick disconnect bullet terminal, I can remove the molded fuse, install a matching bullet terminal, and now I can join these two wires together, bullet terminal to bullet terminal. And if my fuse tab is just a wire without a terminal on this end, I can remove the molded fuse and then I can join the wire to this wire using this butt splice, and I'll demonstrate both methods for you right now. So first I'm just gonna cut this molded fuse off. Now I can strip the wire with my wire strippers, and I'm probably gonna go up at right here. That should be more than enough. Then I'm gonna pull the insulation right off, and there is the wire. And I did the strip a little bit long so I can fold the wire back, and that's gonna increase the diameter of the wire, which is an industry accepted practice. And then I can take this bullet terminal, slide it over, and then crimp. And to crimp it, I'm gonna use the bottom of the tool, and that has different positions. As you can see, the first position is for terminals that are blue and yellow in color, and this position right here is for terminals that are red in color. As you can see, this is red in color, so I'm gonna crimp it with this cavity. And I have positioned the crimp in the right cavity, and I'm making sure that the wire hasn't come out, and making sure that this is nice and straight. I'm gonna go ahead and crimp down and release. Okay, here we go, the crimping is done. Now some people like to do a little pull test, which is fine. I can just pull on this gently and confirm that this is not gonna fall off. And the other thing I wanna show you is that the crimp was placed right smack in the middle, and that is gonna ensure we have the proper crimp, as we wanna leave the back end and the front end untouched as much as possible, and we wanna center the crimp in the middle as much as possible. And with our new bullet terminal installed, I can go ahead and clip these guys together, and this one is done. And if you're curious of how far the terminal should go down to confirm it's fully engaged, this is what it looks like when both terminals are fully mated and locked in place together. And the process for the butt splice is quite similar. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the molded fuse on first. Then I'm gonna strip the wire. I'm also gonna fold this wire to increase the diameter of the wire, as we did previously with the bullet terminal. And now I'm gonna strip this wire. And if you're curious about the numbers of this tool, these numbers indicate the size of the wire. So as you can see, this wire is size 16. So I'm gonna place the wire somewhere around here, and that is gonna ensure that I have a nice clean cut without cutting any of the copper, just removing the insulation. And the strip is gonna be a little bit shorter because there is not gonna be a need to fold this wire over, and it's actually quite the right size for the butt terminal splice that I'm using. And if you're curious about the strip length of the wire, that is controlled by the butt splice length. The very first half of the butt splice is going to contain the first wire after I insert that in here, and it's going to fit somewhere about right there. And the second side of the butt splice is where I'm going to insert the second wire, and that is also gonna come to a stop right here. So here you can see both of the strip lengths. But now let's move over to the crimping. I'm gonna insert this wire into the first side of the butt splice, and I'm gonna crimp, right where that wire is at, which is right here. And I have placed my tool in the right location, and I'm gonna go ahead and press down on this until it crimps. That's it. And you can see again the location of the crimp on this side, which is the side that I inserted this wire on. Now I'm gonna insert the next wire over here and repeat the process. And again, I'm aiming to place the crimp right here. I don't want to be too close to the edge, and I don't want to be towards the center. I want to be right here, right on top of where that wire is located at. And with the crimp located in the cavity, I can go ahead and crimp down. And this is done. And again, some people do a pull test on this wire just to make sure they don't come out, and this is now complete. And this is a great close-up of the butt splice. You can see how I centered the crimp right here for the first wire, and you can see how I center the crimp for the second wire right here. Now when I say center, you can see the distance from here to here. There's even a little mark or a little dot in here, and I try to place the crimp as close as I can to the center, not only on the left side but also on the right hand side. And this Hardwire kit is now ready to be installed. I have removed both of the molded fuses and replaced them with functional fuse stabs. One of them had a quick disconnect terminal, and the other one was using a butt splice. Now another thing I like to do, I like to match the color. Not necessarily a requirement, but this helps me with during the installation. So I put a red fuse stab that matches the red wire, and I put a yellow fuse stab that matches the yellow wire. And you also may be wondering which method is better, crimping or soldering. And it turns out that the industry says that they're both equal when done correctly. And that means that if I am soldering, I have to have experience and knowledge on how to solder to produce a good connection. And same thing with crimping, I have to have experience and knowledge to produce a good crimp. Soldering sometimes can give the appearance of creating a stronger connection. However, if the person that is doing the soldering does not have that experience, that connection is going to be very brittle, poor, and can potentially separate very quickly, where crimping usually has less of a steeper learning curve than soldering. So it's very common to see installers use soldering over crimping or crimping over soldering. It's just a matter of preference, and it's just a matter of which is the method that the installer is most comfortable with or experienced with. But if you're still curious about soldering wires, I do have another video coming up where I'm gonna show you the same thing of how I prepare a Hardwire kit, but using the soldering process instead of crimping, so stay tuned for that one. And now that the Hardwire kit is ready for installation, you may be wondering about how I actually feed the wires into the panels of the vehicle and how I route that wire towards the fuse box. And I have made a very detailed video covering that process. I'll link that in the description down below if you want to check it out. And also remember, I linked the fuse tab kit on the description below, as well as the crimps and the crimp tool in case you want to acquire a set of those for yourself. And if you guys have any other questions regarding the installation process, please put that in the comments down below, and stay tuned as I have a lot more cool gadgets and dashcam videos coming up. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.